Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got a really awesome deck tech for you on Glarb Calamity's Augur. Now, Glarb itself is $2.67. That being said, it's still an incredibly budget-friendly deck, with every other card in the deck being 50 cents or less, $19.67 in total, according to Moxfield at this time of recording. Keep in mind that doesn't include shipping or basic lands, but you might already have those, or from your LGS, or buy them in bulk, or get them from a friend. Regardless, this Glarb deck is unlike anything you've ever seen. A 2/4 Frog Wizard Noble with Death Touch for 3 mana in Sultai. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library. Tap Surveil too. Now, many Glarb decks out there focus on a couple different things. Well, some frogs, some wizards, nobles, I guess, too. Regardless, many focus on being able to play a lot of things that cost mana value 4 or greater, and maybe even kind of restricting the deck to that. Now, it's a nice amount of value, being able to play things off the top of your library, absolutely. But I'm not restricting this deck to 4 or greater. In fact, I've got a lot of things above it, a lot of things below it. We're going to focus on that tap ability in top deck manipulation to make it so that Glarb is giving us all the information that we need on what we need to do at the top of our library, how we can utilize it, and yes, sometimes too, getting value off the top, and also getting value of a lot of other tap abilities too. This is a very spicy deck. Let's talk about what we're going to do with it, how we're going to win, how things work in the tactics. First up, tactic number 1, do that again. Again, with a lot of tap abilities on creatures, including our commanders, we're going to be taking advantage of it with creatures that, well, can tap to untap them. Curious Follower, a 2/2 Merfolk for 2 mana. Tap on a target permanent, a great way to ramp, and a great way to utilize our lands, and a great way to utilize our commander, and a lot of other abilities too. Next up, Clever Conjurer can tap to untap anything else. Forensic Researcher, exact same thing as well. Or tap Collect Evidence 3, tap a creature you don't control. If you really need to do that, you can. Yorth of Healing House, tap to untap a target permanent, or 2 legendary creatures. Yeah, that counts our commander, and some other spicy ones we have later. Kelpie Guy, tap another target permanent you control. Or yeah, tap target permanent, only if you got 8 or more lands. Vizier Tumbling Sands, tap another target permanent, or you can cycle it away to do the exact same thing. Nimbleclaw Adept can tap to untap 2 things, only once each turn though. Seraph the Viper's Fang gives our tapped creatures Death Touch. That's quite nice, helping them, well, attack, and also make it more difficult to block. And also, because of our tap abilities too, make it difficult for our opponents to swing into us as well, because we can give them Death Touch on tap. It also gives our untapped creatures hexproof as well. Pay 1 tap, untap a target creature or land as well, which is quite nice. Tidewater Minion though, yet another great untapper. Tap, untap target permanent. A 4/4 defender that we can make lose defender if we really want to. Don't worry about that. What we care about is that untap. Next up, though, tactic number 2, all together now. Yeah, we've got ways to untap everything. Again, when you have so many creatures with so many tap abilities, and you're like, you know what I'd like to do? All of that again. Copperhorn Scout, a very simple 1/1. When it attacks, untap each other creature you control. Turnabout, choose artifact, creature, or land. Tap 1 tap permanents of the chosen type the player controls, or untap all tap permanents of that player controls. Depending on the situation, yeah, you can pick whichever you want. Most of the time, though, it's going to be 4 mana, untap our entire team. Intellectual Offering, this is a great one as well. Choose an opponent, you and that player each draw 3 cards. Choose an opponent, untap all non-land permanents you control, and all non-land permanents that player controls. Yeah, a massive effect. That can be a bit like, you know, hey, let's make a deal at the same time. Next up, though, there's Great Oak Guardian, a creature that can really help us out. Flash, reach, enters battlefield. Creatures get pumped, +2/+2. That one player controls, it's going to be us. Also, untap all those creatures. Then there's Solarian Kraken. This is huge. Whenever you draw a card, you may pay 1. If you do, you may tap or untap target creature. This is massive because we've got plenty of ways to repeatedly draw cards with this deck, and now all of a sudden, we can untap things here, there, and everywhere. Moving on, tactic number 3, pick and choose. Again, taking advantage of our commander's ability to give us the top of our library and let us know exactly what that is. Codex Shredder, a great way to do so. Tap artifact. Hey, you know what? Target player mills 1 card. Again, if it's the top of our deck and we say, you know what? I don't like that card. I'm not going to use that card. I don't need that card. Let's go into something else, and maybe it's something else that I can actually play from the top of my library too. You can also bring things back from your grave with this as well. Ghoul Caller's Bell, tap each player, mills 1. Jacob Hawken Inspector, tap, draw a card, exile card from your hand face down. You also get to pay, 6 if you want to at some point, and flip this over, and then play things for free from that exile, essentially, and every single turn getting an extra one for it. Regardless, the front side is basically like Merfolk Looter, essentially, and all of a sudden, yeah, again, select, choose what's going to be on top. Likeness Looter, speaking of Merfolk Looter, a 1/1 flyer, tap, draw a card, discard a card. You can also make it a copy to our creature card in your graveyard, mana value X, except as flying ability, active and sorcery, so it's like Merfolk Looter, but also like a clone in a way. Speaking of Merfolk Looter, there you are, the OG Looter. Tap, draw a card, discard a card. Sigil Starfish, tap, scry 1. Sinister Starfish, tap, surveil 1. Thought Courier, tap, draw a card, discard a card. Yeah, basically, looting. Vohar, again, tap, draw a card, discard a card. If you discard instant sorcery this way, each opponent gets drained 1, which is quite nice. Also, pay 2 sacrifice. You may cast our instant sorcery from your graveyard this turn. That spell will be put in your graveyard from anywhere. Exile instead. Activate only as a sorcery, so extra value there. Dune Chanter, speaking of extra value, you can tap and mill 2 cards. You gain 1 life for each land mill this way. That can be quite nice. On top of that, though, lands you control and land cards you own are deserts. That's all right. No, here's what we care about. Lands you control have tap at 1 of any color. Yeah, perfect mana fixing on top of top deck manipulation. What's not to love about that? Then there's Dean of Substance. Tap, exile top card of your library, say land card you may put in your hand, otherwise put a study counter on it. Here's the thing, we know what's on top. If we want it and it's a land, great. If not, get study counters on them because we can have 5 mana, create a 0/0 blue and green flagged creature token, get a counter on it for each different mana value among non-land cards you own, exile study counters on them so we can grow them throughout the game. Obsessive Stitcher, basically Merfolk Looter right there. Tap, draw, and discard a card. We can also pay 4 and tap, sacrifice this to bring a creature back from the dead, reanimate creature out of our graveyard. Finally, the Grim Captain's Locker. This thing is huge. Tap, surveil 1. That's nice. On top of that, though, tap until the end of turn. Each creature card in your graveyard gains escape for 4 mana, exiling 4 of the cards from your graveyard. We got plenty of ways to get a lot of things into our graveyard to get a lot of escape value, and all of a sudden bring massive things back out. Now, as good as all these cards are, there is one, in my opinion, that stands above the rest, and that is the golden pig of this deck, the #1 card over 99, and that is Future Sight, an enchantment for 5 blue mana. Well, not 5 blue. 2 blue, blue, blue. 5 mana in blue. Play the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library. Now, there is a downside to this card compared to our commander in that, well, our opponents know what's on top of our library. We are willing to pay that downside to now have access to every single card off the top of our library. Again, some decks around Glarb are built completely mana value 4 or greater, so you can play anything off the top. We are not built that way because we like the lower to the ground value that we can get out of this commander as well, but we still have all that top deck manipulation too, and now we can take advantage of every single thing on top of our deck thanks to this. Yeah, this card is massive. This card is huge. Really just makes the deck really, really go. Definitely, in my opinion, the golden pig of the deck. Moving on, though, tactic number 5. Can you dig it? The Warriors? Anyone? No? Okay. Enclave Cryptologist. This one starts off as basically nothing, a 0/1. But if you level it up, level 1 to 2, makes it a Merfolk Looter, essentially. Level 3 plus, tap, draw a card. All of a sudden, straight up card advantage on tap. What's not to love about that? Dryad Greenseeker. Speaking of which, tap, look at top card of your library. It's a land card you may reveal up in your hand. Again, we know what's going to be on top. When it's going to be a land and we want that land, we get that land. Volo, Iterant, Scholar. This one has, when it enters the battlefield, create a journal. All of a sudden, it's got a hexproof. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you note its creature type. It hasn't been noted for this artifact. You pay 2, tap, draw a card for each creature type. For target permanent you control, name Volo's journal. Basically, cast more spells. Cast more creature spells. The more different kinds of creatures you have, the more different, cards you're going to be drawing with this throughout the game. And yeah, untap it, draw even some more. Along to this here, this one is huge. Tap, draw a card, exile a card from your hand, put a number of time counters on equal to its mana value. It gains when the last time counter is removed from this card. If it's exiled, you can cast it for free, essentially. Kind of like Suspend-ish. If you cast creature spell this way, it gains haste all of turn. Remove a time counter from each other card you own in exile. Basically, tap, draw, exile. Tap, draw, exile. Tap, draw, exile. Removing counters every single time and casting those cards like a super fastly charged Bulb Suspend. Next up, Archivist. Very simple, very effective. Tap, draw a card. Oracle's Vault. Not as simple, but still very good. Pay 2, tap. Basically, Impulse Draw. Pay and nothing and tap once you get that 3rd brick counter on this. Oh my goodness. Tap, exile top card of your library. Till the end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Free things off the top of our library. And again, thanks to our commander, we know what those things are. Moving on, Slate of Ancestry. Pay 4, tap, discard your hand, draw a card for each creature you control. We got a ton of creatures with this stack. And finally, Arcana Slave of Impotent, a huge tap effect. Draw 3 cards. One of my favorite cards from my childhood. Really does a lot of work for this kind of a deck. Next up, tactic number 6, tap out. Oh my goodness, your opponents are going to be, well, not too happy when you give one of your creatures the power of Banishing Knack or Retraction Helix, which are the exact same thing. Until on turn, target creature gains tap, return target non-land permanent back to its owner's hand. Again, we put this on one of our creatures, and all of a sudden, we're tap bouncing something. Oh, wait, we've got an untap effect. Cool. Untap it. Do it again and again and again and again. Bounce so many things back to your opponent's hands. They'll be in serious trouble. Next up, Psionic Gift. Put this on your commander, and they are in trouble. Enchanted creature has tap 1 damage target creature or player. So all of a sudden, our commander becomes a one-shot KO on any creature because of that death touch. So yeah, tap ping, tap ping. Gotta love it. The Raven Man, brutally effective. Pay 4, tap each opponent discards a card. Only at sorcery speed, that's okay. At the beginning of each end step, if a player discard a card this turn, you make a 1/1 Blackbird creature token with flying. This creature can't block, so a great way to remove our opponent's hands from the equation. On top of that, again, we've got so many different looting effects. Yeah, we can make it so that every single end step, we get a 1/1 flyer. But we got Null Mage Advocate, tap, bring back 2 cards from opponent's graveyard back to their hand, so target artifact or enchantment. You can make deals with other opponents, or yeah, just bring back something kind of useless for the other player too. Royal Assassin, oh my goodness, tap creatures, beware. Tap, destroy target, tap creature. This can just go through all of our opponent's creatures in no time. Serendip Sorcerer, tap target creature other than this becomes a 0/2 until end of turn. There's a huge effect saying, yeah, you thought your creature mattered. Now it does not. Speaking of that, Alexi Zephyr Mage. Pay X a blue, tap, discard 2 cards from your hand, bounce any number of target creatures back to his hands. That can be absolutely an amazing play. I do say any number. I guess you need the mana value for it. But you got so much ramp with this deck. You got so many ways to get there. You're going to be able to dump whatever amount of mana you want into this to just get rid of your opponent's entire boards. Moving on, tactic number 7, Value Town. Crashing Drawbridge does so much work for you. A 0/4 defender. Tap creature control, gain haste until end of turn. This is huge. This is amazing, again, because you have so many amazing tap effects. Now you can utilize them right away. Kazandu Tuskar, another great level up creature. Once you level this to 2 to 5, taps for 1 3/3 green elfin creature token. Once you get to 6+, 2 3/3s. Instead, you can make an army absolutely so quickly. Your opponent's heads will spin. Next up, Arami the Dead Tide. Speaking of an army, tap exile cards to your graveyard equal number of opponents you have. Target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. Encore cost its mana cost. Bringing creatures back, essentially multiple copies of them, can be really huge, can be just devastating once you get some untappers involved with that as well. Speaking of devastating, Echo Mage, oh my goodness. Level this up 2 to 3, pay blue, tap, cover to instant sorcery spell, choose targets to the copy. 4+, copy it twice instead. Being able to, well, copy your opponent's things can be massive, but also, yeah, maybe go infinite with something like Turnabout. Have fun with that. Then there's Rile Troubleshooter. Once for each of your turns, you may cast a spell from on cards in your graveyard that were milled this turn. Plenty of different ways to mill with this kind of a deck. On top of that, this has milling too. Tap, each player mills a card. So yeah, being able to utilize things out of graveyards and also manipulate the top of your library, what's not to love? The Master Transcendent, absolutely huge. Enters the battlefield, target player gets 2 red counters. Tap, target creature card in a graveyard that was milled this way. This turn on the battlefield under control, it's a green mutant with base power notice 3/3. Yeah, we're going to be able to get a lot of things into our graveyard, a lot of different mill effects, and all of a sudden getting them out with this. Then there's Experiment Crage. It has all activities, all creature with a counter on it. You can tap to a counter target creature. So yeah, our creatures, this can give us their abilities as well, and our opponents too. So do keep that in mind. Spawning Ground's a great thing to put on a land that, again, we've got things to untap that land. Enchant land has tap, make a 5/5. So yeah, just think about that with the 5/5 tramplers, making one and another and another and another simply by untapping this and doing it again and again and again. Next up, tactic number 8, ramp it up. Again, I talked earlier about, hey, we've got some untap effects. We've got some creatures that can untap any permanent, including lands. Now we've got some creatures that can actually get lands into play too. Sky Shroud Ranger, tap put a land in your hand right into play. Keep in mind, with our commander, we do have access to the top of our library. That's quite nice, but yeah, knowing what's on top, that's great. We know if we're getting into some more lands, we can also get the lands out of our hand to play too. Paducah Gardener, tap put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. If you control 10 or more lands, flip it, and it can be a game-ending source. Oh my goodness. Pay 6, tap, make an XX for X the number of lands you control. Speaking of making our lands into creatures, Llanowar Loam Speaker, tap for 1 mana of any color, or tap, make a land into a 3/3 until end of turn. Llanowar Scout, tap put a land from your hand on the battlefield. Same thing with Scaled Herbalist as well. Trail Tracker Scout, we're going to be spending so much mana, this can be huge for us. Tap add 1 of any color when you expend 8, turn to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Tato Farmer, a great one as well. Whenever a land enters battlefield under control, you may get 2 rad counters. Tap, put a target land card in your graveyard that was mailed there this turn on the battlefield under control tapped. Yeah, again, a great way to ramp throughout the game with this. Ingan Eska, oh my goodness. Creatures control Vigilance and tap add 1 mana of any color, only for creature spells though. Again, we've got so many creatures in this deck. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of value out of this. On top of that, whenever you cast a creature spell of 3 or more mana from creature spent to cast, you draw a card, dig down into your deck in no time. Deathwind Ritualist, again, with with all those ways that you can manipulate the top of your library and get cards into your graveyard, this can really take advantage of those. Tap add X mana of any one color, X number of creature cards in your graveyard. That can be huge. And keep in mind, again, you've got untap effects, so keep utilizing this more and more. Spinach, Ezroot, Channeler, make all your things basically free. Creature spells are going to cost X less cast for X the amount of life you gain this turn. Tap, gain 2 life. Tap, gain 2 life. Untap it, tap, gain 2 life. All of a sudden, all the generic mana does not matter on your creature spells. Just by tapping this a couple of times, and then your creatures are going to be free, essentially. Okay, not free, you gotta pay for the pips, but still, massive explosive turns for you. Next up, tactic number 9, Great Lands. Let's highlight a decent amount of really good Great Lands for this deck, because again, our commander lets us know what the top of our library is, and we can manipulate the top of the library in so many different ways. Even our lands can help. Basic land cycling for 1 with Ash Barrens. Discard it, go get a basic, put in your hand, then shuffle again. Shuffling your library is huge, because maybe we can really do something better. If something's dead on top, get something better. Next up, Bad River, enters tap, tap, sacrifice, go get an island or swamp on the battlefield, then shuffle. Blighted Woodland, an actual ramp spell essentially. Pay 4, tap, sacrifice, get 2 basics, and play, tap, and of course shuffle. Broker's Hideout, enters battlefield, sacrifice to go get a forest, plains, or not plains, you don't have plains in this deck, but island, and essentially gain 1 life. Cool, and shuffle, of course. Escape Tunnel, basically Evolving Wilds, but also you can make creatures that are small not be blocked. Evolving Wilds, it's an Evolving Wilds. Tap, sacrifice, get a basic and play, tap, shuffle. For Budding Landscape, you can actually tap this for mana, or you can tap and sacrifice for any of our basics, or you can cycle it away. Maestro's Theater, again, one of those ETB, sacrifice right away for an island or swamp, gain 1 life as well. Mirror Landscape, basically a Blighted Woodland, but instead of getting 2 basics of whatever you want, it is 2 basics of the exact same type in a play tap. Obscura Storefront, this one is again the exact same thing essentially, except for islands or swamps with those kind of new competitive lands. Promising Vein, pay 1 tap, sacrifice, get any land, any basic from our library, and play tap, then shuffle. Richard's Overlook, again, go get 2 lands, either a swamp or a forest. Shire Terrace, again, basically exact same thing as Promising Vein. Temple of Deceit, a great way to know what's on top. Enters the battlefield, scry 1. Taps for 2 of our colors. Mallet is the exact same thing, 2 of our colors as well. Temple of Mastery, exact same thing, but for 2 of our other colors. Temporary Expanse, basically an Evolving Wilds. Again, so many lands that can manipulate the top of our library. That can be absolutely huge for us. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.